What is this bill? $500 for light bulbs?
That's probably just the first order.
How could you spend this much money?
Let me show you. I'm not gonna start off this video by feeding you some crap about how proper gym lighting can stimulate the feeling of the sun and make you feel better, or help you cope with your feelings. Let's be honest and let's be real. The only reason we care about gym lighting is if we can see that light bounce off those sculpted home gym bods. But I guess dim lighting where you're lurking in the shadows as much as those guys who used to hit on Winnie the second she touched a machine or a weight in a commercial gym isn't that appealing, and I can't review any equipment this week because my gym is sitting in my dining room in my basement and this place is a disaster from the remodel. So let's talk about lighting. There's tons of options for lighting your home gym, and I've gone through a lot of them while building this place. So in this video, we'll cover everything from properly lighting various spaces, whether it's a barn, garage, basement, or something in between. So I'll be giving budget and high-end options along the way. So let's get into it. To properly light your space, you're gonna wanna take some measurements, figure out how much light you want or can logically create, draw up a diagram and get to work. But the reality is not a lot of us are gonna wanna work from scratch or gonna wanna go to the extent I have. So in this video, I'll give you options for various builds and ability levels as well. When we got this place, it was literally a skeleton of a building. It was beautiful, but we only had 2 fluorescent lights over the gym. So a 28-foot section with 2 4-foot shop lights. As a garage, it worked, but for a gym, especially for filming, it was awful. So I did what any normal home gym owner would do and went completely overboard. First by doubling the size of my gym, and then adding 42 recessed lighting cans. And with these bulbs, we're about 50% over what the lighting calculator says. Are you ready for the real fun stuff? Foot candles, or lux if you're one of those dirty foreigners, and lumens. Okay, there's no way to make calculating the necessary lighting interesting, but I'll do my best to make it concise, informative, and maybe entertaining. But before some guy with a PhD in lighting design critiques my videos, I admit I'm just some YouTube guy who knows how to use Google so he can get better lighting for his Instagram clips of his girl's cake. I don't care about color fidelity or spectral reflectance or other fancy things I don't understand. Light output is measured in lumens. The higher the number, the brighter the light. The problem is that's the amount of light coming from a single source. And for many of us, we can't just beef up a bulb or two. One of the simplest solutions for me at first was using 2 really powerful fixtures to get my lighting level up cheaply and quickly. The problem with these though is they can cast big shadows, and if you look directly into them, but I made them work for about a year on YouTube, and we had over 1 million views with them, and if somebody's gonna complain, it's gonna be on the internet. Nobody did, so they do work. Just screw one of these things into an existing socket, it honestly couldn't be simpler. It's also why we care about foot candles or lux, or essentially taking the area the light will be spread out to, rather than just the brightness of the bulb. But listen, I can already see my video's retention graph falling off faster than when people realize Winnie's not gonna be in a video. So rather than cover a bunch of formulas, we'll look at some websites that do the work for you. Because, well, I'm more interested in my gym than I am my lights. I'll link all these in the description below, but as a generalization, I like to check a few calculators just to make sure they're all telling me the same thing. But if for some strange reason you trust me, I'd aim for 300 to 400 lux or just under 30 to 40 foot candles. Technically, there's some preference in there and I'm lit over that, but I can dim. I've got smart bulbs and this was built for filming. To keep this video moving along, I'll link and show lighting layout calculators as well. In general, if you're using bulbs or ideally recessed lighting, you want to keep those lights spaced evenly and about 2 feet from the walls so you're not getting big dark corners. The simple way many people do it is to take your ceiling height and divide it by 4. So with 9-foot ceilings, you'd space your lights every 4.5 feet. Again, none of this is perfect, but you can always use your calculators to double and triple check things. But a lot of that goes out the window because for many of us, we're just trying to do the best we can with the space we have. Another thing I'd add, if you're able to, is a dimmer. Even if you never use it, it's best to have complete control of your lighting in case your needs and wants ever change. If you're using shop lights, you have the luxury of spacing them more because of their size. For those, I like to take my ceiling height and multiply it by 0.66 or 2/3, which I believe is the same Gym Crafter does as well. Obviously, the best lighting comes from the sun, but I'm not about to open my garage doors right now. It's 16 degrees out and the sun died months ago. And you basement creeps can't seem to get over the days of living in your parents' basement, so sunshine isn't an option for you vampires. So you're gonna have to put some lights in, and who better to take lighting advice from than a guy with more lights than brains. It's bright, beautiful, and fully controlled in here, but like, this cost a ton, so if you could use those affiliate links so I can keep wasting other people's money, I'd really appreciate it. Now, to mimic that sunlight, you're gonna wanna buy daylight bulbs, which have a color temperature of 5,000 Kelvin, though 4,000 K looks pretty good too. And artificial light actually runs from 1,000 K to 10,000, with lower values more warm looking, so more yellow or orangish, and higher values looking more blue. 5,000 Kelvin is similar to sunlight, which will keep your place from being too cool so you're not falling asleep, but also so it's not looking like a factory. As we get into my recommendation, I've boiled these choices down using a lot of factors, but to keep this video moving along, you probably care about fixture height, energy efficiency, color temperature, keeping your gym from looking like shit, and spending less than the idiot you see before you. I've read some pretty great blogs with thoughtful advice like, just go get some brighter bulbs. Thanks. That's fucking helpful. So let's cover some options real quick. If you've got the ability to, I would avoid fluorescents. Not that they don't work, they can actually work quite well and they're cheap, but there's better long-term options out there. I've used fluorescents in here for almost a year of filming. And while I got sick of replacing the ballasts, that damn buzzing sound, and the flickering, they did work. And if you've already got the fixtures, you can replace those bulbs with LED replacement tubes. Just check whether your fixture takes T5, 8, or 12 bulbs, which corresponds to the diameter of the bulb. Check the length of your fixture, and make sure your ballast is compatible with LED tubes. If you want to step it up from there, you can purchase LED wraparound lights, or LED shop lights that can be hardwired, but there's options that plug in as well. Because I realize not everyone is going to want to DIY this like Wynie and I did. If you're lacking on plugs or socket space, you could also utilize a light socket plug adapter as well. LED shop lights remove the need for an LED or fluorescent tube, and they outlast and outperform fluorescents. And many of them can be daisy chained together, so you can almost get an infinite string of lights based on one power source. LEDs are the top option for lighting your space, regardless of the form they take. They're energy efficient, have long lifespans, was gonna say 4 things. They're no maintenance and they produce a high quality of light, though they're not the cheapest investment up front, especially if you're talking about smart bulbs. We all have experience with using LED bulbs in our homes, and my third bay here is no different. Just recessed light cans, which are the most polished but often least practical option, and a dimmer. It allows me to control the light level when working out and filming. If LEDs aren't enough for you, then I've got just the thing. If you're an enjoyer of tech and spending money when you really don't need to, well, you started a home gym, so you're gonna love smart lights. They let you do really cool things that you'll probably never try out, and much like high-end gym equipment that functions exactly like its cheaper counterparts, smart lights are the coolest. I've been using Philips Hue in here. They're not the cheapest. Actually, they're kind of like the kabuki of lighting, but they are awesome. They do everything I need them to, but then again, so did my old lights. And as long as I ignore the fact that they cost me more than some of my favorite barbells, well, we get along just fine. I'm able to change the hue of bulbs, brightness, sync them to music, and all kinds of things that I'll never bother with. But I figured if I went this far, I might as well get the best. For your more logical people out there, there are a ton of less expensive options that also work very well. You can also try LED ropes or strip lights, as they can add some light and look cool for accents. I did something like this in my wall control behind my rack in my cable machine before the big gym reno. And though I haven't put that back up yet, I do have big plans there as well. The rope, in my experience, is a bit better quality and more well made, but the strips, as long as they stay stuck, couldn't be simpler to hang. And both have RGB options as well, so you'll have some choices for colors. I've had some friends come here and at first they'll look around and say, wow, you really went a little overboard on the lighting, but by the end of the workout, all they can talk about is how good they look as that light bounces off their muscles. And really, that's what I wanted. For you to go home to your home gym and realize you'll never look as good as you did here. I hope this video was helpful. Like, comment, and subscribe to boost us on this algorithm. I'll see you next week.